My name is Will Moxley. I'm from Salesforce.com, and I have with me today Dave Baker from WebSense and Joe Francis from ClickView, or ClickTech, technically. And we're going to be going through some adoption best practices, some things I've seen customers do, as well as what they've implemented in their own systems. And I'll let them introduce themselves, I guess, when you go up and give a little bit of your background. But I'll start with myself. I've been here about 3 years, a little over 3 years at Salesforce. Have been doing PRM for about 6 or 7 years. I used to work at another software vendor where I worked on PRM. I'm actually a product manager for both our SFA, Salesforce Automation Area, and PRM. But have seen quite a bit of what customers have done and seen a lot of different deployments. And so I hope today to share with you some of the things I've learned as well as what our other speakers have learned. So why don't we jump right into it. So our safe harbor, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but we're not talking about any future stuff here. But if we did, please make your buying decisions on current functionality. So here's our agenda. I'm going to give a quick overview about partner adoption. What is it? How do you measure it? Why is it such a challenge? And then Dave Baker from WebSense will talk about some of their best practice and what they've done to drive adoption. They have a very large program with like 13,000 or so partner users logging in. So that's a pretty big implementation. And then ClickTech, then Joe will talk about what they've done, and they have just incredible login rates and some of the tips and tricks they've done to get partners to log in. And then we're going to wrap up with a couple more ideas of what I've seen other customers do, and then leave plenty of time for Q&A, which I hope there'll be lots of questions. And when we get to the questions, I ask that you please use the mic so that we can record your question and get it in the recording. So if you guys want to go refer to the session later, or if somebody else wants to go to the web and look at the session later, they can hear your question. So that's me again. So let's talk about partner adoption. It is a universal challenge. SF, it's hard enough to get your sales reps that work for you to log in, right? And those people work for you. You can fire them if they don't do their job. Or you can say you're not going to get compensated if you don't fill in the opportunities. If it's not in the system, we won't pay you. It's a little bit harder with partners because you really need them and they need you. Sometimes you need them more than they need you, right? That happens sometimes. They're not your company employees. They work with multiple vendors. I often hear in the high-tech industry that somewhere between the partner will work with 10 to 20 different vendors. So you might just be one of 10 or 20 different people that they work with. So how do you get their attention? They often have their own CRM systems. And so they're tracking leads, they're tracking opportunities in their own system, and you're just telling them, hey, come onto my portal and log your stuff in there too. Enter it twice. That's a hard thing to sell, right? So you have to do things to get over that hump, right? The good news is there are ways to deal with these things, and there are ways to really drive adoption. But you have to think about it, and you have to keep that in mind. So if I had to summarize everything we're going to talk about today, one of the key things is that driving partner adoption is really about driving the partner's bottom line. It's about focusing on things that help them earn money, help them get more margin, or help them close business quicker. Anything that's going to help put that money in their pocket faster is going to be the key to partner adoption, because as you know, they're all reps. A lot of them are sales reps, and they're going to be motivated by financial rewards. So another thing to keep in mind is you're going to have to balance your carrots and sticks. So you're going to have to think about things, well, okay, you don't follow up on a lead, I'm going to take it away from you. That's a stick. You don't update a lead in 24 hours, I take it away from you. That's a stick to get them to come in and follow up on leads, and et cetera. The carrots are, hey, the carrot is we are giving you a lead. We're qualifying a lead for you, and we're giving it to you. And you need to balance those two things. You can't be all like, hey, I'm going to take things away from you. I'm going to, remove your benefits and so on if you don't do things. But you have to have some of that to make sure people don't abuse the system, or abuse your programs. But on the other hand, you need to have some benefits in there. You need to be giving them good leads they can follow up on. You need to be doing things like giving them upfront discounts or back-end rebates, more margin for what they're doing. Or sales support. Hey, if you enter your opportunity in the system, we'll help you close it. We'll get involved. We'll come visit the customer. Or we'll give you marketing dollars or deal protections. You have to balance those two things to get partners to use the system. So then I want to talk a little bit about, well, what is partner adoption? And it's generally measured in one of two ways: login rates which you can all measure yourself as well, and I can measure on a customer-wide basis what login rates are. How many partners have logged in over the last 30 days? How many partner users have logged in? That's a typical thing. How many partners have logged in over the last 90 days, last quarter? Because some of your partners aren't going to log in some might log in once every 6 months, once a year, depending on how strategic your relationship is with each other. And then another way of looking at it is at a company basis, that anybody from a particular partner logged in. You might have 10 logins for one partner, but as long as one of them is logging in on a regular basis, they're using the system, that you're benefiting from that partnership. But that's not the only way to look at partner adoption. In other words, business value. How many opportunities have it created? How much new business am I seeing that I didn't have access to? Let's drill into those a little bit. So login rates. Your login rates are going to depend on the size of your program. That's one thing to keep in mind. So a larger deployment, 10,000, 20,000. We have one customer with 140,000 partner users right now. If you have that many users, you can't possibly expect them all to log in on a regular basis, right? So, and in fact, in this large partner customer, they have one partner, which is a very large company, and they give them 20,000 logins. They can come in, anyone at that company practically can come in, get documents, etc. They're not all going to log in, right? And that's to be expected, and that's okay. But you need to understand that, right? If you have a smaller program with some very dedicated partners, your login rates are going to be significantly higher. So some good target login rates is if you're over 10,000 and you're getting 20%, you're doing really well. That's a good role, and they're going to be different people at different months, right? That's kind of something to target for. If you have a smaller deployment, you want to at least try to get 30%. But we do have some customers that are in the 80 to 90% login rate, literally as much as more so than even some SFA implementations, like where the partners are logging in real constantly. And it's going to depend on some of the things you do in your program to get them to log in, and it also depends on how dedicated they are. So some companies have dedicated networks where the partners exclusively sell their products. And in those cases, obviously, the rates are going to log in. So it's going to vary. And another thing you're going to see is that in August and in December, login rates will literally drop in half because people are on vacation, they're away, it's the holidays. And so those are some of the things you're going to see. But it's going to vary. In terms of business value, how partners impact the bottom line, you have things to look at. Revenue, the total value of closed won partner opportunities. Like and visibility, total value of open deal registrations. Last year, we had Dell came and spoke, and they talked about their partner program, and they talked about how they had $1 billion in open deal registrations that they had to approve. That's a way of measuring business value as well. It's not just about login rate. It's like if you now have visibility to these opportunities that you never could see before, that's another way of measuring the adoption of your program. It's not all about how logging in. It's about how's it helping your bottom line, really, right? Lead conversion rates, are your lead conversion rates rising? Are the lead ages, are they going down? Are people following up on leads quicker? Are people downloading your documents? Are they going to the portal and downloading this? Those are other ways of measuring the adoption of your system. It's about who's logging in, and then what are they doing in there, and is it helping you? So those are two different ways, and you can write your own reports and dashboards to basically measure both of these things. And in fact, about 2 years ago, I posted up on the blog for the Partners blog a dashboard you can download off the App Exchange for measuring partner login rates and some other things about activity they're doing in the system. So you can, if you guys go search the blogs, the Salesforce success.salesforce.com. You can basically search and look for this dashboard, or if you guys can send me an email, it's wmoxley@salesforce.com, and I can send you the package. So that's something else to keep in mind. And with that, we're going to turn it over to Dave to tell you a little bit about what he's done at WebSense.
Guys, can everybody hear me? Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Dave Baker. I'm Vice President of IT at WebSense. So I'm not exactly a channel expert, but we partnered very closely with our sales team and our channel teams to deploy our solution in Salesforce. So a little about WebSense. WebSense is a company that delivers security solutions for web, data, and email security via those channels. And we sell primarily through the channel. I'll talk a little bit about our channel structure here in a little bit. We've been using Salesforce for over 2 years. We Started using Salesforce after an acquisition of Surf Control a couple years ago. Very fortunate that they had a good deployment in place that we could take advantage of. But so now we're using CRM, PRM, customer portal internally, and from a CRM footprint perspective, we're using it across marketing, sales, and tech support. Will mentioned we have a large number of partner users that are enabled, so about 13,000 partners that are enabled, partner users that are enabled to log in. Not all of them log in, obviously, but a large segment do. And a couple other just footprint things. We built some things within Salesforce, a quoting application. We use a number of the App Exchange components. So just an overview of our channel program. Again, it's a multi-tier global program. We have a large number of resellers, so 4,000 resellers, a number of distributors that we work through globally. Obviously, all those resellers interact with us in different segments, right? We have platinum partners that we have a lot of transactions and a lot of high-touch activity with, and then some resellers that we see once a year that come in and do a deal for us. Our program, though, is tiered such that in the platinum levels, those partners are getting a higher level of support, maybe a higher level of margin, and have advantage to more components of the program than folks that may just come transact with us once a year. And again, so about 95% of our business goes through the channel. So obviously, a channel is essentially the extension of our sales team that does the majority of the selling. So we went live with Salesforce PRM about 6 months ago. We had a lot of practice. This was our third PRM deployment within 2 years, so part of that was because of our acquisition of Surf Control. But we moved to the Salesforce platform primarily because our sales reps were working in a different system than our partners were. We didn't have good integration of the data between the systems. We couldn't get good metrics on reporting because we didn't have necessarily a full closed cycle of activities that partners were doing and how that resulted in actual dollars to us. I'll talk about some of these other components here in a little bit, but our current PRM deployment, we're doing a number of things using mostly the standard functionality that's in PRM, partner registration, profiling, lead routing to our partners, deal registration, some of the sharing that you can do. We have about 10,000 partner, over 10,000, I said 13 before, changed my numbers now, but about half of those users have actually logged in at least once since we went live in April. So as Will mentioned, the key components that drive our partners to actually use the portal are the things that put money in their pocket. Probably the biggest incentive that they have is our deal registration program. So partners bring us information about a deal that they might want to work that locks in kind of their first come right to additional margin on the deal, which is for us is the only way we get insight into our new business pipeline. So we sell software subscriptions, so we have a large customer base that we're always renewing, but really the only way for us to get a lot of good insight into what we have from a new business perspective is the information that we get from our partners. Additionally, to incent them, we have a lead management program. We take qualified leads that we receive from marketing activities that we do, website activities, whatever those may be, and we'll farm those out to partners who qualify at a certain tier. So it's incentive for them to go pick up those leads in the portal. So it's kind of free contact information for them. Additionally, we facilitate through the portal a rewards program. So this is just pure money in their pocket. For certain things that they do, maybe it's selling, it's almost like a spiff for the partners. If they sell a particular product, if they complete a certain training. But that's all facilitated through the portal. And so to that end, the partner portal is the only way to work with WebSense then, right? The way our business processes are set up, deal registration, we flow those in as leads, those become opportunities, those become quotes, that become orders. So really the only way to get into that pipeline and actually get a deal reg processed is to have it registered within the system. And our business processes also are geared around the only way to guarantee that you're the person who's going to get that margin is in order for them to actually register it. So there's no backdoor process that they can sneak around. The leads that we're capturing, they can only get those in the portal, so they're going in, accepting those leads, which they can then turn around and deal reg, right? So again, another incentive for them. And I mentioned, also mentioned we're a renewal business, so we have our customers that are coming up for renewal. We try to keep good track of who our customers are, and when they're coming up for renewal, we track those as renewal opportunities in our system, and we'll actually attach the partners to those as a way for them to remember who they need to renew as well. And the only way to get that access to that information is via the portal. Additionally, we may learn of a big opportunity that we want to bring a partner in on to collaborate with us on a deal. The only way for them to get access to that is to log into the portal. So as you can see, we try and drive that activity.
Yeah, I am on. Yeah, is one of the things I want to comment is you talked about no back doors. I've seen some customers go, well, we have the portal with deal regs, but we let them email them in too, right. And they can email in, or they can call it in. They can call us up and call it in, and we'll send them an email with the lead too. And then they ask me, well, why aren't the partners logging in? It's like, well, it's because you're letting them circumvent the system. You're letting them circumvent the way you do those things. And when they email it in, they're not going to give you update emails on that, right? You need to have that in the system. And so that's important to keep in mind that, you enforce that process. That you have a process, you enforce that process, and not giving them those back doors. Because sometimes you think, oh, I'm going to make it easier for them. Yes, but you're, in a certain sense, you're making it hard for everybody too, because you're having 5 different processes for managing the same thing, and you don't get one consistent view of what that pipeline looks like.
Good point. Good. An additional thing that we provide as it's a carrot and a stick to a certain degree is access to our training and certification programs, and that's access via the portal. It's a single sign-on. It's single sign-on between our portal and a third-party provider that is the learning management system. Completion of training and certification allows them to move up in tier or even retain kind of the tier they're in, and also as a component of the rewards program. So again, driving them to, but there's value for the partner as well. Obviously, we don't want them just to complete training. To complete training, they're learning how to sell our product and get an advantage. An additional carrot. So one of the biggest challenges I know that we face from a data integrity and management perspective is keeping the partner's profile information up to date. Who are the people that work here? What's your certification level? What's your location? What are your specialties, et cetera? And so a carrot we've used for that is by keeping their profile up to date. We expose that information via Partner Finder. So people that want to buy our product, that want to find a partner that they can work with, that go to our website, that's all based off of the information that the partner's maintaining within the portal. Either they're maintaining directly or indirectly by keeping their certification level up or being certified to sell a particular product, and which we're exposing that information directly to the world via the internet. So a couple of things that we've learned is keeping it simple. So Will talked a little bit about you don't want to make it so easy that they can skip the process, but you don't want to make it so onerous that they're not going to want to participate in the process. So for deal registration, prior deal registration forms that we had were multiple pages and lots of challenges in trying to complete it out. It's one page now. Click submit. Only collect the information that's actually going to help you or even help the partner give you enough information to help win the deal later. Lead distribution is as easy as hit, click, accept. So keeping these processes simple. Also, if you're going to have additional things that you want them to log into, so for example, our training and certification program, strive to make those single sign-on so it's not just another. It's bad enough that we make them remember one more password just to participate with WebSense. You don't necessarily want to make them have to remember 3 different ones. And then Will talked about this a little bit as well, is that keeping the process simple means also that they don't have to memorize what your business process is. So we use time-based workflow reminders. Hey, by the way, you have a deal. It's set to expire in 3 days if you don't do the following. Or that lead that you accepted, you need to move into the next step or it gets pulled back. But so that the partner doesn't have to have all of that memorized, using some workflow automation to give them those reminders. And then I guess I'm doing a demo here. Let's see if I can figure out if we're still up and running. Okay, so this is our this is the landing page that a partner sees when they log in, and so a lot of the components that we were talking about around access to a lead, and we're giving partners some guidelines on here's up front some of the business processes that you're going to do on a regular basis, accepting a lead, deal registration, and links into some of the basic content information that they're going to be interested in. So centralizing it, it's got very much a Salesforce look and feel. Many of your partners are probably using Salesforce, so it's a familiar environment for them. And we're piloting, I'll talk about this on my next slide, but we're piloting content. So actually this partner profile has content on it. But so actually an additional benefit of logging into the portal is generally that you're providing sales content for them. So we're working through that deployment as well. But this is basically the starting point for a partner, and then they have access to all the different things that they need off of this. Okay. Let me see if I can get this thing going. Okay, so more things that we could be doing to drive adoption. I just mentioned this content via the partner portal, so we're piloting right now, and we're going to be launching in January using Salesforce content. Partner case sharing, so our partners are oftentimes the frontline support for a customer as they're trying to implement the product. Tying the partners into the process where they can help raise a case on the behalf of a partner or work a case on behalf of a partner is something we're going to be doing going forward. And then providing some standardized partner reporting back to the partner that shows how they're doing, right, against maybe some metrics that we might have set with them or some KPIs that we generally measure for all of our partners to help provide some incentive for them to perform better. And I think I'll turn it over to Joe.
Hi everybody, Joe Francis here. I'm VP of Sales Operations at ClickTech. I've been at ClickTech since February last year, and it was this time last year that we signed up with Salesforce.com, and we've since gone live, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail now. A little bit about ClickTech, or ClickView, our product. We're one of the world's fastest growing BI companies. A software product called ClickView can be deployed in a number of different ways. We've got 12,500 customers and about 800 partners globally. In terms of our Salesforce implementation, we pretty much bought everything they've got to sell. Went for unlimited edition, the PRM, customer portal, and we went live in January. So we signed in October, started the project in November, and went live in January with our CRM and then PRM in April. As a company, we've grown very significantly. We grew 49% last year, and about 50% of our revenue globally is either through or with partners. And we've got customers in 92 countries. We operate directly in a smaller portion than that. So a significant part of our business is through our partners internationally. Partnerships for us include global consulting organizations, resellers, master resellers, distributors, OEMs, and deployment partners, so people who do consulting around our product. And so we've got a pretty comprehensive partner program spanning recruitment through to marketing. So what we needed was something that was going to help us have visibility through that entire process. What was life like before Salesforce? We had a CRM system, but it didn't have a PRM capability. So the way we managed was pretty messy, combination of using that CRM system, holding all of the partners' information in there, and then providing that information back to them using ClickView. So it was one-way traffic, really, and we had limitations, therefore, about how we could receive information back from them and share information around opportunities and so on. And the primary thing was actually we weren't able to track the leads. And, yeah, I'd say opportunity sharing, teaming around opportunities as well. And we also didn't have an online support capability, so another key deficiency. So it's actually interesting because PRM became the primary driver for changing to Salesforce.com. Much as our sales guys would like to say it was the amount of moaning they did about the previous CRM system, it wasn't. It was actually PRM. And so we actually went to Gartner and said, look, we're looking to have a PRM system. Which path would you recommend we go down? Because they recommended an integrated PRM and CRM, and we needed to do it quickly, Salesforce became the only choice. So we went live with 450 employees in January, at the end of January, and then about 8 weeks later at our global partner conference, we went live with about 450 PRM users. We've now distributed just over 600 licenses to 330 distinct partners, and we're up to about 322 logins per month. It's a pretty strong trajectory upwards. And we think we'll be up to, sorry about the sound there, about 1,000 regular users at the end of 2010. We're putting in some initiatives now, which I'm going to talk about, to really drive that adoption. I think that's really just a very simple way of displaying what Will was talking about earlier. This has to be a give to get. A lot of conversation I hear from other customers about how they drive partner adoption is, you will, we need you to do this, we need more visibility. And actually the starting point has to be, what are they going to get out of this? So make sure that you're always thinking through, right, if we need to get something from them, what can we give them? And so try and make sure it's a balanced perspective. So what are some of the things? I mean, we offer reduced channel conflict through deal registration. Most of you are probably doing this already, but doing it through the PRM has helped significantly. And also with the lead flow back to them, the confirmation around the leads that they've registered with us, feeding that back to them and so on. And deal registration and channel conflict can be real issues in certain countries, maybe certain markets known to you as well, but we have to be particularly sensitive to that. The other one is leads can only be accessed by the portal. The backdoor comment has already been made. You've got to make sure that the only way they get the leads is by logging on. And that's something that needs to be reinforced, I would suggest, by top management in your organizations as well. Giving them pre-qualified leads, well, they are salespeople at the end of the day, so the more you can do that, the more that will drive adoption. And of course, make it known that those that are most regularly using the PRM are the ones that are actually going to be receiving the most qualified leads on a regular basis. Joint opportunity management, much more transparency there. I think one of the key things, and I don't think I put it on here as a bullet point, but it relates to opportunity management, is the aspect of your senior vice president of sales being able to go through the forecasting, if you use Salesforce forecasting, and work their way all the way down to an individual partner's opportunity somewhere remote. And that's very, very powerful in terms of your senior leadership driving your alliance organizations and partner organizations to drive the partners to start using this, because visibility is really crucial. But it also makes it obvious when some things have slowed down and there's a lack of activity around an opportunity, that more effort needs to be put in from our side to help the partners close that opportunity. And then the other one is market development funds. We've made the decision that those are only available to those partners using PRM. And that can be quite significant in terms of extra points on the margins. Another perspective we took was paperwork. We add about 14 or 15 new customers a day globally. We've got partners that operate with very high volume and velocity, and we made the decision, well, if we're going to ask them to use PRM, why make them give us purchase orders for all the licenses? Well, there's no point. So they just close their opportunities in Salesforce. We have finance approve them, and now we've automated the order to invoice process. So they'll receive the product and they'll receive the invoice without any processes in between, any paperwork required from them. So if you're a reasonable proportion of their business, make it easy for them. There's no need for paperwork, no need for purchase orders on top of that. And yes, our auditors did say that was okay. But you might want to check with yours first. But that was fine for us, because electronic ordering, that's all it is. So that's been very, very helpful for some of our partners. The other one is content. We've rolled that out via the partner portal. Interestingly, our partners had access to our intranet, which was fairly horrible to use. So we switched internally to using content. And some partners who were a little bit reluctant to dive in and start using PRM still accessed content through via the intranet. Well, we've cut access off to that intranet now, content is only available through Salesforce content, and actually resulted in a little spike in logins as well recently. And it's just a great tool. I mean, we're big fans of content ourselves, and I would suggest going down a similar path. I don't know if content for partners is free now as well, Will, but that might be an additional incentive. Oh, was it? Okay.
As long as you had some licenses to publish, you always had content with the PRM licenses.
Well, yeah. So to reinforce that point, it's a great way of getting the partners to really adopt. Yeah, case management, we've got the partners using that now. I think that's probably been slightly slower. I think we suffered a little bit of making it really easy for our partners not to use case management until the last month or two, so we never really gave them an incentive to actually start using that, but now we have. And we've also gone live with our customer portal as well in the last couple of weeks, and we're seeing some good results from that. But the key there is the quality of the solution base and obviously the reaction time that we get through cases. And this is an interesting one. You have to make the decision, how quickly do you move from carrot to stick? And so we've been very much softly on a number of subjects in the first sort of 6 months of the deployment. We're moving into, okay guys, actually look, we've given you plenty of opportunity to get used to this. Now you can only do your cases through PRM. Okay? You may want to consider that one as well. And I think making an internal point is making adoption visible to everyone. This is a ClickView application that we deploy, and everyone's got access to it in the company. I had a bit of a heart attack when I saw that we had a sudden drop-off in adoption. I realized we're only halfway through the month. But you can see the trajectory of our logins. We've got a pretty good steady increase from when we went live in April at our global partner conference. And I think we're feeling pretty good about getting up to 1,000 users regularly using the system this time next year. But I think that make sure that's really open and transparent within your organization. Because one thing is it gets your partner managers starting to compete a little bit about adoption, around the issue of adoption. We can.
All the slides will be available online. The entire presentation will be available and recorded online.
Yeah. So that's a ClickView application that we've deployed internally. Everyone has access to. And then I could just do a quick demonstration. I think we'll open up for questions.
Yeah.
I guess we'll.
Oh, actually, I'm going to wrap
You're
up.
going to do it normal.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. So just to look at our overview of our deployment, I mean, we've got pretty much everything out there from a PRM perspective, all the way from leads, accounts, contacts, opportunities, support, and content. We've actually rolled out reports as well, but that's not available or rather visible in the sandbox environment in which I'm demoing right now. But we've also rolled out ClickView to our partners as well. Obviously, we hire our partners to sell ClickView. They want to use ClickView. They use it to run their business. We want them to use it that way. This is an example of an application that we've rolled out called the Sales Efficiency, which covers a number of things, particularly around opportunity management. We can look down at a particular opportunity manager and look at their ideal pipeline profile. So for that individual, what is their ideal pipeline and where are they against that ideal pipeline profile, so that we can look at addressing particular deficiencies they might have in certain stages of opportunities. So are they getting enough leads and so on. And there are a number of other things in there we can look at to really drill in on a particular individual partner user's opportunity management. And I think the rest is pretty much standard Salesforce. I'm not sure there's much more to see. I'm happy to show people later on if you want to. But that's it from me, Will.
Okay, excellent.
Great.
So thank you. Thank you, Dave, and thank you, Joe. Let's come back here to the PowerPoint. And I'm going to kind of summarize and then throw in a couple bonus things, too. So keep it simple. You heard that today. That is so important. I was at a customer about 2 months ago, and they're like, well, we went and we wanted to do deal registration form. And we went out and we talked to all the different departments that had a say in deal registration. And we ended up with a form that was this big, that scrolled forever. And if you filled in this field, there was this required field. If you filled in that field, there was this required field. And there was all these validation rules underneath it. What do you think of that? And I said, I think that's a bad idea. I think that is, there was like 30 required fields. This filled in, then this is required. Too complicated. And luckily, the customer agreed with me. And I think they went back and took that feedback into what they ended up designing. You saw a screenshot today. I think you had a screenshot in there, Dave, of your form. And then if you ever seen, like, in another one, we had a screenshot of, like, in another presentation, I have one of Dell's form. Just a few required fields. Keep it simple. Focus on what you really need to know, not everything that everyone would like to know. Because you ask people, what field do you want? Well, I'd love to know this, and I'd love to know that, and I'd love to know this. But is it really necessary? Put yourself in the partner's shoes when you're filling out, when you're thinking about these forms and how complicated they are, how complicated the whole application is. Right? So you have to balance your needs with, the reality of them having to fill it in. We talked about focusing on financial rewards. I think you saw that both customers and most customers start their deployments on things like deal reg or lead management or maybe even MDF. They usually start with leads or deal management, something like that. But sometimes you see content. Sometimes you see people start with document and collateral distribution. But generally people don't start with like, oh, the idea site. That's not where they start with. Or some, random, thing like that. Start with something that puts money in their pocket because that's what's going to get them to log in, right? A community where they can talk with people, maybe they'll come in, but they're more likely to use that if they're coming in to get money, right? That's just what it comes down to. Leverage scorecards and reports, reports, dashboards. You saw Joe's dashboards using the ClickView product, right? They, give your partners information about how they're performing, how they're doing. And take that a step further and give those to your channel managers too. So you guys talked about how there was like a little bit of a playoff on the channel managers and the competition. I've seen that work very effectively. At Sprint, they were passing leads to retail stores that were managed by store managers. And they put up a dashboard that showed every store manager for regional areas and what the lead penetration rates were for their dealers that were reselling their products. And boy, penetration rates for those leads suddenly went up when they saw that it was being publicly listed for their managers and everyone to see how their stores were doing. Then they suddenly cared. That's an important point. That was one of my bonus points, is that if your channel managers aren't using the system, your partners probably aren't going to use the system either. So that's really, really important to get them bought into it, right? If they're not going in and looking at the opportunities and updating them in there, then why are the partners doing it if their channel managers aren't looking at those same deals in there? So it's really, really important to get your internal people that manage the channel using the application as well. It's a key element of adoption. Make the portal process even the offline process. I thought that was really, really interesting. Something that Joe talked about where they just change the status of the opportunity and they get the license keys. I mean, that's easier than faxing something in. That's going to drive adoption. Right? This is what this is all about. If you really think about it, it's all about making things easier for everybody. It's not about adding more process and more, just for the sake of having process or making things more complicated. I thought that was a phenomenal example and something I'd never seen anybody do yet before, and I thought was really, really innovative. No backdoors. We talked about just a general process, just a general thing across the board. Don't give them 5 different, a good backdoor is give them a mobile access to do what they want to do already, right? That's okay. Right? Give them more access, but use the same system. Don't give like 5 different processes for registering your deal. Keep it, try to do it all via the portal. Make content easy to find. Make it, if that's one of the things they want. They want sales tools. They want your PowerPoint presentations to help sell. They want your data sheets to give to the customer. They want these sales tools. If you make it easy for them to find that stuff, they'll come in and they'll use it. And another thing I want to add in about content is the concept of content subscriptions. People can subscribe with content to a particular document, let's say, a price list. Typical example. Maybe they want to subscribe to the price list. Or they could subscribe to a certain area. So let's say they specialize in an industry, and you have an industry tag on your documents for that industry. They can subscribe to the tag. Anything with that tag gets uploaded, they get an email. And guess what happens when they get the email? You re-engage the partner. They come back to your portal. They see some promotion. They go get the content, but they'll probably interact with you in some other capacity. And it's keeping them top of mind, right? You have to constantly re-engage them. And that's a great way. Use that content as subscriptions to re-engage them. We talked, and then Dave talked about exposing partner profile information via the Partner Finder. So he built his own Partner Finder that accesses the Salesforce via the APIs. We are going to be releasing an App Exchange offering of a Partner Finder as well that uses sites. It will be what we call a managed package. You can download it and then upgrade as we enhance it. You'll be able to take this and deploy it via sites and expose your partner community out to your customers. And a great incentive for getting partners to update. I was just in a meeting just earlier today with a customer, and they're like, how do we make sure partners keep their profiles up to date? How do we make sure that it says, all their locations and that the contacts are right in the phone? I'm like, just make that stuff public to customers. That's a lead. That's a channel for them. That's a sales channel for them, right? Customers are going to go to your website. They're going to go search for somebody with expertise in their area. And if they want to get that business, they want them to call them, that information better be up to date. And it better make them look good. And so exposing their profile information to the internet is a great way to get people to log in and update their profiles. And that's something Dave worked on that I think was phenomenal. But there's some other things to consider. One is an ideas community. Give your partners a voice. At Salesforce, we have ideas.salesforce.com. In our partner portal here at Salesforce, we have an ideas site as well so that our partner community can tell us things like, hey, we need better developer tools for ISVs, or we need demo licenses, a better way to sign up for demo accounts for you, or et cetera. And they tell us what they want from us. So you can do the same thing and listen to your partners. And the real way you drive adoption is if you actually do what they ask you to do. So when they give you that feedback, you can't just let it sit there. You actually have to go follow up on that feedback and implement the changes to make your program better. Because that's what they're going to be telling you out there. They're going to be telling you, how can you make your partner program better? And then you need to take that feedback and use it to improve your program and to differentiate your program. One thing Avaya did, this is a little screenshot that Avaya had done here. They gave away they had iPods for ideas. So the ideas that were posted, the ones that were they had the highest votes, they'd give people little iPod shuffles in exchange for their ideas. And another important thing to do, and that's just a way to elicit that feedback, right? It's just about putting presents in their pocket, Apple iPods in their pockets, and they got them to come on and give them their feedback and use that to improve their program. But when you put up an idea site, just a word of warning: don't just put it up. You need to have a moderator. You need to have someone that'll go in there and update the idea statuses and say which ones you're doing, which you aren't doing. You need someone to post comments on there and engage it. We have people at Salesforce that are constantly sending me emails and bothering me to go comment on the ideas that you guys post about my product because I have so much going on. I don't always remember, I'll be honest. And you need to have that moderator making this active and up to date so that people know what's happening. But it's a great way to drive adoption. Salesforce to Salesforce, which is another offering we have. If you have Salesforce, you have this. There's no additional charge. And this really is about connecting your instance of Salesforce directly with your partners. It doesn't make sense in every scenario, and it can't work for every business process. Like, things that usually the partners do infrequently, like ask for MDF, content maybe don't make sense, but like for leads and opportunities, you could be sharing these with your partners via Salesforce to Salesforce. And if your partner's using Salesforce, you're just suddenly told them, you know what, you don't have to change the way you do business. You just work in your CRM system, and we're going to collaborate just seamlessly. You don't have to go to two places to update your information. So if you think about it from the partner's perspective, Salesforce to Salesforce means they don't have to go to a portal to always do all their business. They just go when they need to download a presentation or do an MDF request. It makes their life easier. And we have quite a few customers using this now, and about 3.7 million records being shared on Salesforce. Just huge growth in this from what happened where we were last year. And we made a lot of enhancements to Salesforce as well. But that's another idea for driving adoption. We talked a little bit about this. I won't spend much time on it, but use those workflow reminders to re-engage partners. And actually, I'll throw in one of those bonus ideas again here, which is communicate to them constantly. Send them communication on a regular basis about what you're doing. You need to market to them. Constantly re-engage them, whether it's automated system notifications or just marketing messages about new promotions and so on, to remind them and bring them back to the portal. And then we talked about training and certification earlier, so I won't hit that home too much. And just these are the ideas again. Am I going back, or did they repeat him? No. I realized there was some editing problems in the PowerPoint. The last point I want to make is you can actually use Salesforce Mobile with partners. A lot of people don't know that. Partners can log in via Salesforce Mobile. My one caveat with this is great because then your partners can access it on the go. This doesn't make sense in every industry. Generally in the high tech, your partners work with too many other vendors. The idea of deploying software onto their mobile device probably not viable. But like in the insurance industry or in healthcare or other areas where you have dedicated networks like manufacturing reps, this may very well make sense. So if your partner works a lot with you, a lot of their business with you, it may be worth your time and investment to look at doing this, where they can literally go into the Salesforce application on their BlackBerry, see the lead, update the status, add an activity, as they're visiting their customers. And I just want to remind everyone to complete the online surveys, give feedback on the session and the Dreamforce in general. Just want to remind you all, we have to do that. That's the advertisement we have to do. But that's pretty much it. So we're going to open it up to question and answer. We have about 7-8 minutes. So, I just encourage everyone to go up to those mics, or I can repeat them as well. I'm fine with that. We have a question right here.
Yeah, I had a question about data quality and accounts created by your partners. We used a different PRM system, and one of our biggest challenges was large amounts of duplicate accounts in our systems. And I don't know if either panelist has run into this or if they have any suggestions on how to manage duplicate data.
Yeah, I mean, we had a large issue with this, especially when the systems were disintegrated, where a partner could go in and create something that was essentially an account, and we had no real way to reconcile it to the accounts we were matching in our SFA system. So one advantage of the fact that everyone's using Salesforce is we can take advantage of, it's still going to happen, right? Someone's going to register a deal for a company, and it inadvertently becomes another end-user account, but leveraging the tools within Salesforce that help you do merging helps alleviate that problem.
But you do allow your partners to create end-user accounts?
We just let them create leads, and so we have a fairly robust process that the sales teams actually manage of evaluating a deal, trying to determine whether or not we already have an account and doing a matching process. So it's part of the business process related to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's very common. A lot of customers will not allow partners to create accounts. They will. What they'll do is, like you mentioned, they'll log a lead. The lead will get converted, and then when it gets converted, they'll match it to the appropriate account. Or if it's an opportunity, they'll have a free text field where they enter the account, and someone on the back end in like partner operations or sales ops will match it back up. That's what some people do to avoid that. We have other customers that have taken the exact opposite end of the spectrum and have made every account visible to every partner with limited data. So one of our customers, we've done this in a webinar, so I can share this. Siemens, PLM, used to be a company called UGS, a software company that does complex system designs and product lifecycle management. They expose all 900,000 accounts and their D&B information to partners read-only. So when a partner logs an opportunity or deal, they can actually just go pick from the existing account, or they can actually create a new one. But because they have visibility to everything, they'll know if it exists or doesn't. There's a question? Could you repeat the question, too?
Yeah, okay. So the question is around the degree of automation of our opportunity to delivery and invoice process. Yeah? Is that Yeah, so we're very keen on keeping to as standard a process in Salesforce as possible. So it's a partner's opportunity is the same as a direct sales opportunity. So when they want to discount something and that's not from their margin, they need to run that through the normal Salesforce opportunity approval process. As with one of our internal opportunities that a salesperson closes, finance have to approve it, so they check it, approve it, and once that's been done, then our order to invoice process, which is integrated with our ERP system, Navision, takes care of it. Yeah. So that's the missing piece I didn't really go into. But yeah, we've automated that process recently. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a question over here.
Shall I answer first?
Yeah, I'll repeat the question. So, to what extent did they customize the application, and did you have, and who helped you do that? Did you do it yourself, or did you have a systems integrator help you?
Well, I think for us that depends on who you ask. I think it's not that heavily customized. Our head of IT out of the back thinks it's horribly customized, but I think we've configured it reasonably extensively. But we made a great effort to make sure that partner processes were very close to direct processes. So our staff didn't have any, weren't confused when they were, managing occasionally an opportunity themselves, or then helping a partner to manage an opportunity, for example. And yes, we did get help, and it was with Blue Wolf. They helped us through that process.
And we didn't really have a customized process as much as we had just stuff that was configured. So most of it was designing our business rules and creating workflows or modifying the object to add fields. So nothing from like a technical perspective that was overly outside of what you can do through administration. And then we've used a couple different integrators. We use Blue Wolf as well, and then Salesforce Consulting actually as well.
That's another question here.
Oh yeah, I have a question on making adoption visible to everyone. How, when you log in, you have a report, you have a chart. Do you always know how your partners are using your portal? I mean, which content do they use the most? Would that be deal registration, or I mean, can you collect that kind of data to see how the adoptions and where they're going within the portal?
I'll take a stab first. So content you can download, you can see how many times everything's been downloaded and who's downloaded. You can write reports on that. So you can see what's been downloaded the most, which I think is really critical to channel organization because, channel organizations usually don't, they always, everyone's short on resources, but I always think the channel organizations tend to even be more short. And you need to know what content people are consuming. You can see that. And basically, Joe showed a report that shows who's logging in, how often. And I've seen other customers see how many opportunities were created by partners, a report that shows that how many leads created by partners, how many leads owned by partners, all that kind of stuff, so you can see that kind of information. This is just standard. You can build those very, very easily.
We look at all that as well. We look at opportunity pipeline by partner and all those sorts of things as well. And the other one is the classic forecasting. Quickly drill down through alliance director, partner manager, look at the partner, look at the individual users. Zero commit, we've got a problem.
Yes, another question here?
I can't remember who it was that has hundreds of distributors worldwide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're doing more and more of that. Are there any gotchas when you go from
It's easy.
I'll answer the question. I'll just repeat the question. The question was, are there any gotchas moving from just direct resellers to start worrying about the distributor channel? So two-tier distribution.
Yeah, and there's a number of factors. In some countries, we only have one distributor, so we don't have the issue of, say, distributor conflict. But as you move into some of the other regions where we have maybe 3 or 4 distributors, some of the security around the data that we have is a bit of a gotcha because, well, which distributor is supposed to be able to see which partner's activity isn't necessarily set in stone. So that's probably our biggest issue there is letting the distributors have even that next level down. Who are they supposed to be able to see?
And I'll use this as a time. I think we're actually out of time, and we can stay up here and answer a couple of questions afterwards. I'll use this as a sales pitch for the part. That question is a great tee-off for the partner PRM roadmap session, which I think it's tomorrow, that Adi Kuriganti will be giving. We're going to talk specifically about that challenge and what we're doing in the roadmap to better allow you to have that collaboration between distributors and resellers, because we have some things we're planning there. And that's it. So thank you very much, everyone, and thanks for sticking around.